Well, Leva, welcome back to Us Weekly.
Thanks for having me.
It's always good to see you.
It's always great to see you.
And short hair don't care. I love it.
Yeah, just like, new year, new energy, chop it off.
I love it. I love it. What inspired the new look?
I always say it's like a rage cut, and I know that sounds so like, they're like, what are you mad about, Leva? I'm like, no, I don't, I'm just like fed up.
Yeah.
Like, just chop it off, let's start fresh, And I usually do these things where every few years, like I'll just take like a kitchen shear, and we were in green screens, and it was our last green screen where we can't like change our hair and stuff. So I was sitting there and I was telling my hairstylist, I was like, I just want to cut. He's like, this is the second time you've said this, and he's like, this is the last green screen. Are you going to go home and just cut your own hair? And I was like, possibly. And the snowstorm was coming, so it's like, he's like, you're going to be trapped in house for 3 days. You're going to chop all your hair off, and he's like, let's just do it now. So we did it in the green screen studio, which was
so
like
funny.
hilarious.
Well, it looks fantastic.
Afterwards, I was like, I don't know, I don't feel very girly, but
it's great.
Whatever.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of great things, 2 great shows: Southern Hospitality, Southern Charm. Let's start with Southern Hospitality because things are getting crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Especially with Emmy and Will this season.
Yes.
What's it like for you watching it back, knowing the ins and outs of their relationship on both a personal and a working relationship?
I mean, it's hard. It's like, they're kind of like these, not my kids, but like, I care about them. And so like, I hate seeing Emmy so stressed out. I hate, Will feeling so alienated and like struggling and kind of running away from camera, because he's not knowing how to deal with it. And then I don't like that it's distracting him from law school. I mean, I wrote him a reference letter to get into law school. So I'm like, I hope this isn't affecting your grades. Like, I know he needs to, report to me. But yeah, I mean, you always have so much empathy, but also like, because I've done reality, I also am like, lean into owning things, just go ahead. Like, you can't, avoiding in reality TV just makes it come back up.
Yeah.
It's the worst. Yeah. Just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, address it, you know what I mean? And so I think for them, and I think everyone can say that until it's for them. So like, somebody will probably say that to me when the bus comes for me one day. Love it, own it. But yeah, so I mean, it's hard, and I can advise to my demise. I can just keep telling them like, hey, just, but they're going to do what they want to do. So it's hard to watch from the sidelines.
Yeah, but like another round of cheating rumors now comes up from Austen, who says, his girlfriend's friend, this chain of events. I mean, how many times can we hear, like you said, own it. If it happened, just own it. Do you believe that he's been faithful to her? I mean, she said that she believes it.
Yeah, I don't know that until I were to see a receipt that I would think he wasn't faithful, but I do think that their relationship struggled a bit, like because they went from being together all the time to long distance and him being stressed out about law school. And I think if there were to have been a conversation of like, I don't feel as connected to you. That's that happens, like we love each other, but it's feeling weird and it feels like you're doing this and I'm doing this and I don't feel like we're connecting the way we want to. I think that would have been a better conversation than everything's perfect. It's perfect. It wasn't perfect for a bit. It was a little hard. It was a little rough seas. We did some things maybe we regret, said some things maybe we regret. And I think that had they gone into that, then I think everyone would have backed off.
Right.
But I think just saying, we're better than ever is like not
the case.
Not the case. It's just like, being older, I guess. I'm just like, listen, it's okay that it's not perfect. I mean, marriage, relationships, like, you have seasons where you're connecting, you have seasons where you have to reconnect, you're changing, you're growing. And I told Emmy that. I was like, this is just the beginning. Wait till you are postpartum and you've had a baby or you're like going back to your career, let's say, or having to leave your career, or maybe not wanting to leave your career. Like, there are so many things. God forbid somebody's not in their best health. I was like, there are so many ways that you have to learn to navigate struggle and growth in relationships. And obviously it's very different when it's on reality TV, but it's normal. I think these kids just like create this fantasy version of how relatitions are supposed to be, and they're not like that.
It's not like that at all.
No, I actually think that people who claim perfect, so in love are the biggest frauds.
I couldn't agree with you more.
You don't see me posting all the love I have for my husband every day, but there's nothing I'm as boring as they come. You know what I mean? I'm not just like, oh my God, I love you. I love you. We're in love. We're so perfect. Like,
you're overcompensating for something.
I have no need to do that.
Yeah. Do you feel like everybody wants to see them succeed, or do you think that like these rumors come up, like Austen, are there ulterior motives? Do they want to fail?
I think that the cast remember the cast, I mean, Will's away for law school, but really these are Will's friends, right?
Right.
So I genuinely think that they want it to succeed. But also we're filming a show where you have to talk about the things you wouldn't typically talk about. Yeah. They have to do that. And these are things that have happened. And I think they want them to succeed, but I think they just want them to, they wanted to hear, yes, you know, from Emmy, like, yes, I did know. I did know everything that was said, and I am okay with it. And Emmy has to be okay with people judging her for being okay with it. You can't, like, oh, we heard it, you know, like, that's what it seems like it's happening. And so, like, I think they're now, and now those are all Emmy's friends as well. I think they were just worried about, is Will okay? Are you okay? Yeah. And I think it just fell flat for Will and Emmy. You know what I mean? And I just was like, you know, at some point, I get it that was embarrassing for both of you. Yeah. But I also think that these are people who love you both. You know, like Bradley and Joe and Teacher are very much friends with Will, but also like they really care about Emmy. And Emmy has been anxious for maybe different reasons. I don't know. So it was like, I was even looking at Emmy like, are you okay?
Yeah. Right, yeah, because like the outbursts.
Yeah,
and, like, the
very, very big reactions. And don't get me wrong, she's kind of a dramatic girl and a little bit of like OCD anxious girl, but it was on a whole other level. Yeah. You know, so it was like, what's ticking for you? Like, what's the problem? And so I think that was the concern that her friends were having, is like, is everything okay?
Yeah. Will we find out more this season? What's really...
I think maybe a little bit. Okay. I mean, from what I've seen, I'm not that far ahead from what you guys see. But I'm hoping, if not, maybe Reunion can resolve it, right? So I really want to know, you know, because she kept saying, well, it's not Will that's making me anxious. I'm like, well, what is it? You're not working that many shifts. Right. You know, like, I don't know. You're like in Aspen and then you're like working 2 shifts. Sure. You're cold plunging every day. You're sauning. You're having steak. I feel like you should be in the best mental space. If I could do that, you know, every day.
Life would be good.
Nothing would be stressing me. I'd be like, oh, I work twice a week. I eat steak every day. I'm cold plunging, sauning, doing yoga. Like, what's stressing you?
What is stress?
You have no idea what stress is, you know?
Well, speaking of stress, Maddie seems to be super stressed about her Vegas gig.
Yes.
Since Grace Lily decides not to, or we don't know yet.
Right.
Not show up.
Grace is living on Planet Grace. Yeah.
What did you kind of make of that, especially as a businesswoman? When you are booked at a gig, you show up.
Yeah, well, that is one of the reasons Grace doesn't work for us anymore. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, Republic doesn't run on Grace time. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of that. I definitely think Grace is in a better place. She was in a bad relationship, and I think mentally she's in a better place. But Grace is just Grace. She really like marches by the beat of her own drum. You know what I mean? But to invest something that's so important to you, I felt for Maddie because I was, you know, she's work for me, you know, at the end of the day. And I was upset for Maddie, like, you know, Lamar and I managed Maddie's career. So it's like, I was just like, Grace, it was hard to get this booking, you know what I mean? And like your friend is
like the two of you like manage her career.
Yes. So it's like, at the end of the day, it was like, show up. Like she stuck her neck out for you. You didn't get this gig, she did.
Sure, yeah.
So, I mean, that's the part of Grace. I don't think she means to do that, but I think because she's really not had to hustle like that, she may not have the connection to like the loss, like what hustle it took to get here.
Sure.
Because she's charming and she's funny, and I think a lot of things have kind of been handed to Grace, so there might be a little bit of that too.
I'm sure we'll see a little bit of backlash between Maddie and Grace going forward. I think we see that a little bit in the trailer too. So it's gonna be
and it's a lot deeper. I think you'll see that part of it, and then you'll see more of sort of the Grace element in the group. You know?
Interesting. Yeah. The dynamics are shifting.
Yeah,
dynamics.
They really are.
How do you feel like Joe and Maddie have grown since maybe their Vegas wedding? We're going to see this coming up too, and I'm very excited about that. But do you feel like still that they are good for one another?
I do. Honestly, in the beginning, I even took them aside. I was like, you're not doing this for show, right? Like, you know, you don't have to do this. Like, we don't want that. And it's really like they're really cute together. They really are in love. And at first I also was anxious of like, who's gonna break whose heart? Like, Joe, are you gonna be faithful or not? Or I don't know, or you know, Maddie, are you just like, is he just like a rebound? Like, I was very worried. And they kept it kind of top secret for a while, you know? I was telling someone else that, like, one of the staff, like, sent me their, because all these kids, this generation, they share their locations. It's
yes,
so
I know,
weird.
It's so weird. It is.
It's, like, so weird. Their locations are constantly shared. I'm like, this is so violating.
It really
it's so weird. And so, like, they all have, so then they can know when, so I got these, like, texts of, like, Joe's location has been, like, at Maddie's or vice versa or something for, like, 3 days. And I was like, oh, maybe he's just, like, like, I don't know, bender, or maybe he's just hanging with her roommates. Like, I don't know, but that's the funny part is, like, that generation. They're like, no, his location.
Right, they know
he hasn't left. He hasn't, you know, he's been here. So it's so weird. Yeah, that's why I find them all so fascinating. They just live in a weird vortex. Yeah. But yeah, I think they're really cute together. Like, they're really sweet. Joe's really supportive. Of her DJ career. I get a little concerned because I'm like, Joe, you need a career too.
Sure, yes.
But yeah, I think that they're really sweet and really love each other and kind of like, you know, very secure in their relationship, which is like, good for them.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Yeah. Let's switch gears to Southern Charm. Okay. Lots going on there. Yeah. Lots going on, especially this latest episode. We see kind of Benita and JT, the beginning of the relationship and the quick end.
Yeah.
How does their relationship shift after he says, you know, I got this girlfriend, or is this kind of maybe just the start of things?
Well, I think at the time of filming, I think JT was starting to see someone. You know what I mean? So we hadn't brought her around. We didn't meet her. You know, like once in a while he'd just mention, like, everyone's dating, right? And then I think it just progressively got serious, and I think JT came to a point where he was like, you know, also simultaneously having these really strong feelings for his friend, not knowing if she reciprocates, you know what I mean? But also, like, kind of going down this road where, like, are we going to be in a committed relationship? He's, like, stuck. And yeah, it's like a tricky, but if you were to see JT and Benita in real life,
totally different.
I want them to be together.
Even still?
I'm sorry they're girlfriends. But I just think like their souls are like, I don't know. I was dying for it because they're just so adorable together. I don't know. And I've seen it, but I just always thought, like, they're best friends, but like, I wish they were both not, you know, because she was like, had a boy. Yeah. I was like, I felt like I was seeing something they were not conscious of. Okay. But I was like, in a pseudo world, you guys would be so cute together. And then when he was kind of like single and dating, and then her relationship had ended, I was like, oh.
Now's the time.
Yeah, because I'd witnessed it for so long, and I'd never said anything because I'm just like not into homewrecking or anything. But then it was like this little window. I almost wish that they'd moved faster before his stuff got serious, right? So, I don't know, I'm still rooting for it.
Sure. What's your relationship like with JT? Because obviously he bowed out of the show for a little bit. Yeah. Did he end up returning, and where do kind of things stand now?
Well, you'll have to tune in for all of that. But I'm friends with JT. Okay. And I, very early on, like, clocked that, you know, what was being said about him was not accurate. You know what I mean? And I felt like there was a lot being said about him, and the group was just believing one person. When you're in a friend group and one person says somebody else said something, and the other person that was there was like, I do not recall. How are we just believing? You know what I mean? Like, that's not fair. We should hear him out too. I get it. There's more history with Craig. I get it. And there is. And it was like, well, what would be the incentive of you just lying on this man? You know what I mean? But I also know JT well enough to know that he just doesn't speak in that way. And I also knew his confusion and struggle with the friendship with Madison, and he didn't know how to navigate that. But I was like, bro, landing it on Shep and Craig was not the move. Like, why would you not have, like, even called me and been like, I'm struggling with this? And I would have been like, okay, you and Madison are gonna go half, you know what I mean? Like, and he was like, I don't know. I thought that, like, they could give me advice on how, and I was like, wrong turn. Just all wrong. I think JT made social missteps, but none of them were malicious. And then it was like the version of what was translated to the group was, I knew right away was not correct. And so I kept that open door of like, let's go have lunch. Let's figure this out. Because I think he was feeling just very run down, like beat down a little bit.
Do you think Craig lied then, or do you think he just misunderstood?
No, I think he lied.
I think he lied.
I don't think he maybe he wasn't malicious about it, but I think he just kind of didn't care and was flippant about it. Okay, he said that, but it's wow, well, you're really not being respectful to these other women. You just dragged her marriage into something that wasn't that deep, and then that's not a very nice term about somebody like Miss Pat, you know what I mean? So I just think he was careless in the way that he translated. And Craig makes good TV because he is careless about what he... He's a storyteller, right? Yeah, so he just spices it up and rolls it back. But in this instance, it was very degrading to the women that it involved, in my opinion. Yeah. You know what I mean? So maybe it's a good reckoning for him to yes, it's thus far, it's always just been cutesy and entertaining, but you're a big boy now. Yeah. It's not cutesy and entertaining anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What did you make of his conversation with Austen when, obviously, we see the cracks in their friendship and, Austen's really trying to hold on to this friendship, and then Craig's like, I'm going to give you $30,000 for this podcast.
It was to me, that was very offensive. Yeah. Yeah. That to me was it's like shoving money in somebody's mouth or something. If they're hey, you need to do this. It was just kind of to me, a big boy degrading. You know what I mean? I'm a business person. I would never speak to a friend or business person that way. Yeah. I felt for Austen. I think Austen is seeking connection, and I think everyone's seeking connection with Craig because he's just really moved away from the group on all levels. And I think everyone is listen, some of the group parties, but not everybody does. Sure, you know what I mean? So I think they're feeling thrown under the bus. I'm not just asking you to get blackout with me. I just want to hang out with you or connect. And I think Craig is struggling with trying to be a business person, trying to be a good boyfriend, trying to be all these things. And it's you can be imperfect within that. You can also maybe have a few people you can trust. I think there's no trust anymore. There's no connection. I think he thinks maybe, because I've even said to him, are you struggling? Are you struggling with your new normal of being a business person? Maybe not drinking. Are you struggling with that? Because that happens in life. You shed friends, you make new ones. I can help, but he's so guarded. He's no, that's not it. That's not it. And it's well, your friends just want to feel connected to you.
Has he reconnected now that he and Paige are no longer together? Do you know?
Not with me.
Not with you. Okay.
I don't know if he has with other people. Not that I've heard.
Okay.
I think he's just very, on his own campus. You know what I mean? And so everyone's just hey, do you just not like us anymore? Right. Or, are you, but we're on a group thread and we laugh and chat and fight and, we definitely fight and someone gets offended and leaves the group chat.
Really?
Yeah.
And then is back
I'm
later.
Notorious for dragging them back onto the thread. I'm you're not leaving, you're back on the thread,
Who's the last person that left?
I think Ryan is the last person that left. Yeah. So it takes ebbs and flows, people leave and then I love to add someone, I love when someone says a last thing on a group thread and they storm off they've slammed the door and I'm boop, added back, here's your response. So it is all what we are on Charm. We fight, we have each other's back, we check in, I checked in on Craig, are you doing okay after the breakup? I know we're not talking all the time, but I just want to let you know, I know this sucks. I know it's hard to navigate it publicly. Yeah. I have a lot of empathy for that, for both of them.
How's he doing?
What I mean? He just hearted the message, so I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. It's probably not doing great, but, I think that at the end of the day, with all of that, it's hard to navigate any breakup, forget in the public eye, but, we're in the business of authenticity, so it can get just, I think that you have to always have a baseline for what you check into when you're doing something, and it's what is the baseline of what we're doing.
It's really hard watching back this season and how he is just all in on this relationship. I mean, we find out...
I was if I hear I love you chicken one more time, I'm just oh my God.
Right? But we see at the end of this episode that he got a ring.
Yeah.
She picked it out. He was full-fledged about to engage. Yeah. I mean, so knowing what you know now and seeing this, what was your reaction? Did you know that he had bought the ring?
No, I had no idea that he bought any ring. I had no idea that they were in that place. But I do know that it was I think a month leading up before the breakup that we didn't see her at the restaurant opening. We didn't see her at the premiere. We didn't see her at a lot of places. You know what I mean? So I was just oh, weird. It's weird that she wouldn't have Like, we were even in New York at a premiere. At our premiere, she wasn't there. I was like, something's
off.
You know what I mean? For like some time before. But again, Craig is so guarded that, you know, hey guys, yeah, you know, she's working.
Yeah.
So we're just like, okay. And also, like, kudos to her. She's working. I'm not going to hate on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, good for her. She's a really independent, ambitious girl. And so, like, I don't ever want to be the girl to be like, oh my God, you need to, like, cancel your gig to be by your boyfriend's side. So,
yeah. Do you feel like the timeline, I mean, we don't know the ins and outs of the relationship.
Right.
Do you feel like the timeline of events, like, kind of scared her off a little bit? Maybe the sperm freezing and things like that?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to her. I think at the end of the day, it just maybe wasn't a fit, and maybe none of us will ever know why. But we're also, I think, we have to normalize being okay with not being Team Craig and not being Team Paige, but just being like, it's complicated, and really at the end of the day, only they know why is what, and like I've always said, marriage is the biggest decision of your life. And so don't make it frivolously.
No, definitely.
You know what I mean? And I think that we have to normalize girls not also getting married, like allowing girls to change their mind.
Yeah.
You know, like we're allowed to change our minds.
We are.
You know, like it's not like we're just like cattle to be like, you know what I mean?
No, it's so true.
And so I think to vilify her for changing her mind is wrong too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Totally
Women are allowed to do that. Men do it all the time. So I am not in the business of vilifying a woman changing her mind before she walks down the aisle. We are allowed to have the freedom to do that. So it's like...
Last question about this, because she's kind of called Craig out for not sticking up for her during this time. Almost like, you know, because she has been vilified a little bit. And, you know, there's been accusations that she cheated, and she's like, step up. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you a little disappointed that he hasn't?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it would have been good to just... I think that when he made his post, it kind of opened a door for people to question instead of... I think when she spoke about it was very neutral. And maybe there's more to it, I don't know. But yeah, I just think if you don't want people in your business, then keep them out of your business. Don't give the gray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to act surprised. You don't need to act anything. Like, yes, we've parted ways. I didn't want to speak about it, that's it. So I think you can't play two sides of the coin. Like, you know what I mean? Don't give people gray and then... You know, you put yourself here.
Yeah,
so,
you put yourself here. Yeah.
You know.
It seems like Shep may get a taste of his own medicine when it comes to seeing.
Oh my goodness.
What did you make of that relationship? You know, saying I love you so quickly, talking about kids, something that we haven't heard Shep do in ever.
Right? We were like in a green screen. He's like, can you imagine like me and my curly haired babies like running down the beach? I'll be Warren Buffett except for without the guitar. I was like, wow, you have this like all planned out. I think he was like literally thinking he's gonna like own a hotel in the Bahamas with all his little kids. I think he really, I think after Taylor, Shep was like, I'll never feel this way again. And you know, sometimes I think he still very much is in love with Taylor. I do think he still loves Taylor. Now, I don't know if he'll end up with Taylor, but I do think that that was a very special love. And I think he was so excited to have some version of that again, that he got like ahead of himself. You know what I mean? A little bit. Because I think she was just like, did we have this conversation? Like, we're not on the same page. Like, when I met her, she was like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Like, she was just like, I was like, wow, then you're perfect for, you know, Shep. Like, you're just kind of both non-committal. You're both, like, just out here having a good time, you know? And then when he started to, like, talk about how in love he was, then it was a little bit different.
Do you think that she wanted to be on the show? Because apparently she reached out to Whitney beforehand.
Yeah, I think she wanted to be on the show. And I think sometimes when somebody's like on a show, or like somebody like Shep, I think the idea of Shep is like fun. And then, you know, and then also she knows Shep for what she sees. And then all of a sudden Shep's like, oh no, I'm into commitment. You know, she's like, wait, what?
So like, I thought this was a hookup.
Yeah, this is not the narrative you have sold me thus far. You know, like as a viewer, you're like, wait, what?
The girl that could change him.
Yes, she was just like, no, I thought we were both on the same page. We're not ready for anything. So I think that jarred her too. Like I think had he been the Shep that you see on the show, that maybe the relationship would have lasted longer.
Sure, yeah.
But I think because he's like this new leaf, post ayahuasca, post Taylor breakup, like I am here to wife and make babies. Like she's just like, who are you?
Who are you?
So I think it's like a little bit of both.
Yeah. It seems like things go down in the Bahamas, though.
Yeah, they go down.
Does this change dynamics in the group, or is it,
I think at the end of the day, I think it forged more connection in the group because yes, we fight amongst each other, but also like don't come for one of us because we are friends. You know what I mean? So I think at the end of the day, we really have a strong bond, not just as friends, but also friends that are filming a show. And so that's sort of like we're in this tiny vortex that our spouses don't understand, our boyfriends don't understand, our parents don't understand, our other best friends don't understand because we're in this thing. So at the end of the day, it's like when an outsider comes in and burns one of us, we're like, whoa, this is still... It's like when you're mad at your husband, you're like, I can talk shit about him, but you can't. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. It's like, I can talk shit about him, but you cannot, you know, or you cannot hurt him. I'll hurt him.
Right.
You know, a lot, but you can't hurt him. Yeah, so I think it was kind of like that. Like everyone was just like, yo, this is our friend. Like, what are you trying to humiliate? You know what I mean? Kind of deal. So I think it kind of made everyone, it bonded the group because at the end of the day, we care about Shep and Shep's feelings were genuine, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Reunions around the corner. What do you think is going to be the big topic of conversation?
I think there's going to be a lot of topics of conversation. I think there's going to be a lot of...
you want to clear up too?
I mean, I just think that at the end of the day, I think that the way a lot of people in the group treated JT was unfair. I would like to see also JT and Vanita figure out where they're at because that got real weird real fast.
Yeah.
I think that I would love to see Taylor and Sally sort of maybe find a common place because I actually think in some weird space they could be friends.
Yeah.
I also would love to see that like JT make up with Madison because they were great friends. And I would, in a weird world, I actually think Austen and JT could be friends.
Interesting.
In a really weird world. They actually value the same thing in some odd way. Their issues with Craig are the same.
Right.
And I'm like, can you just abandon, like, can we just, and they're fun to be, like, if they were to just, like it's a fun group of people.
Well, if Austen and Madison could be best friends,
then, maybe in a weird world.
I never thought we would see that.
Yeah, in a weird world, I feel like there could be a lot of that. So I think there's a lot of, like, I think people are going to hold people accountable on that show, and we're going to hit that at Reunion. There's going to be a lot of accountability, a lot of questions, and maybe some reconciled friendships is like what I'm hoping for.
The Shep and Molly thing, is that a thing?
I don't think that's a thing.
That's not a thing anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of more things over there, but that's not one of them.
We see a teaser for that dinner event.
I think it was a thing.
Right,
I think there was a moment, but I don't know that moment has lasted.
How did Taylor feel about that?
I think Taylor just doesn't care. I think Taylor's so checked out. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of funny because even the "I love you" is just like, oh, like, what did you say when you're drunk? Like, he just says it all the time. Like, I was like, really? Shep says all. She's like, yeah, he said it like on my second date. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of deal or whatever it was. So I think she's over it, but I think she's also having a hard time in the friend group because there's been a lot of chatter about her current boyfriend. And she's just like, listen, I just want to be friends with you guys. Like, get off my boyfriend, you know? So, which is fair.
Right. No, it is fair. Both explosive seasons.
Yeah.
Both are so good. I feel like we could talk about this for days.
Yeah.
I love it. It's always great seeing you.
Thank you so
much for coming by. As always, always welcome here.
Thank you.